Hello, Carissa.
Hello, Ruben. How are
I
you?
was I was good. I was a little bit worried there that you popped out of there, but that was great. A little bit of a show. Everybody, welcome to City of Altars, the live stream experience. See that? I got it down. Before we go, look, we already have someone, you know, Hola Ramirez Ramirez. Hola buenas noches. And we got yeah, what is that? That one? Okay. Yeah, so anyways, we have a great show coming up tonight. I'm excited about this because it all came together in a very wonderful morning of I woke up and I'm like, who's going to be on? And then, all this came up. And so we have Kat Cervantes, artist from Sacramento. That's what she gave me. So
Mhm.
want to read this?
Luis Campos Garcia, Arts and Education Director at Soul Collective and a visual artist.
And
Esmeralda or Esme Cabrera is a place-based artist, naturalist, and advocate for California's native plants. But yeah, I don't know, Ruben, are you seeing a theme with some of these folks?
yeah, there's a big theme, and we'll get to that too. As we have to, come here what we're for. This is the City of Altars, and every question I had to ask because everybody's new. And before we do that, we got another one. There you go. Thank you, Ramirez. So, what is the City of Altars, Carissa?
We are the City of Altars. This region is filled with altars. So, City of Altars, just for folks coming into it, is a collaborative project that's funded in part by the California Arts Council and facilitated by the City of Sacramento and even other counties like Yolo, El Dorado, and a few others. But truthfully, what it is it's the coming together of five leading organizations in the region, including Latino Center of Art and Culture, Soul Collective, Sojourner Truth, African Heritage Museum, the Washington Neighborhood Center, and Taller Arte Nuevo Amanecer. And the five of us are cultural hubs and art spaces where creative expression happens. But truthfully, we've been actually celebrating what we call Dia de los Muertos, or the season, as it is known as well, in our own distinct ways. What the project allows us to do, and with this specific funding, is to come together and collaborate in a very intentional way, to also increase the number of workshops that we do in collaboration with the community and with artistas and artists, so that we are sharing this sacred practice of altar making, exhibiting these altares at our major Dia de los Muertos events, but also able to document the entire experience. So, Ruben, it's been a really beautiful project. And I think what's most exciting is seeing the way the artists are pulling in other folks. And truthfully, a lot of us are already in community. So the project allows us to really do this on purpose and in the service of our communities.
Yeah, it was a great. I getting paid to be do some art is awesome too. By the way,
It's always nice.
yeah, I'm all whoa, okay.
Mhm.
But last weekend, this weekend, past weekend, I went to Seoul of the city, and it was a great event. I saw some beautiful people, and it was a very beautiful, like transforming um, event, and people were having fun, and you could just tell everybody was loving it, and it was awesome to be there too. There was a lot of people there too, so that was great on too. And first person we're going to have is Luis, which he was the lead artist, right, in the for this.
Yes. So every center was actually asked to bring in lead altaristas. And these altaristas are folks who lead a lot of the development of the workshops, talleres, and we're in community with the other altaristas. So we're really excited that Luis, on behalf of Soul Collective, and there are a few others as well who were a part of those discussions. And so I'm excited to have him here now to tell us more about it.
Yeah, and we'll bring him up in a second. And usually we only have one person or two, maybe at
Mhm.
the most, but we have three today. So we're going to have Luis come up, and then we'll have everyone else we come up and talk about their artwork and community and everything else. So everybody out there, this is a show for you. So please ask questions because we will forget. And this is the time for us to actually get to know each other a little better. I think that artists need that kind of forum because you know us by our works, but you don't really know us by our feelings.
I think that's a good point. I mean, so often people come to the events, come to our programs, they see beautiful performances, they see beautiful artwork, and seldom do we spend the time to get to know why it was
Yeah.
created and by whom and how and their process. And I think that's really where some of us thrive is really listening to these stories, collecting these stories, and sharing them out. So I'm excited that you created this space, Ruben, for a lot of folks to be sharing their reasons for being a part of this project and for sharing why they do the work that they do.
Yeah, and I'm glad that, like I said, it's, I'm only known for these red glasses, so I don't need them all the time. I'm more than red glasses out there, everybody. So, and my eye is a little bit. This one felt a little bit messed up right now, but I'm excited to talk to everybody. 'Cause they're beautiful souls, beautiful beings, and beautiful vibrational beings out there that we do create. And it is going to be nice to talk to some of them. So, without further ado, oh wait a minute, we got to go. I'm sorry, we have to go and see what the workshops are coming up right now. So let's
It's
go.
Monday.
Yeah, it's
Bear with
Monday.
us.
So let's go here.
Yes, so this upcoming Saturday is going to be a pretty busy day. And for those who don't know, there is a master calendar with all of the different activations and workshops. I don't know, Ruben, if you're going to have a chance to share that later.
Oh,
Um,
sorry.
but just in case, this Saturday marks Taller Arte Nuevo Amanecer's Dia de Muertos celebration. And so at the celebration, which will be Saturday, October 28th, and this is in Woodland, California, from 4 to 7 p.m., Altarista Alisto Martinez has been leading a cohort and with various talleres around printmaking, altar making, poetry this past week. But all of it's going to come together this coming Saturday, where a very large altar, and she sent me some sketches, so I don't want to give it away. But what's truly beautiful is that every organization has chosen social justice organizations to partner with and messages to elevate. Tana chose to partner with Brown Issues, and so their altar will be dedicated a great deal to the violence against young folks. So the altar that they've been creating and the programming they've created has been in collaboration with young folks throughout the region. So if you want to go check that out, there will also be danza, there will be música, there will be food, there will be the unveiling of that altar and a lot of beautiful work. So definitely check that out. This is the calendar I was talking about. So if you want a copy of it, feel free to go to any of our social media accounts to check it out. But just to give you a sense of the 5 different centers that make up the City of Altars, the Washington Neighborhood Center also had their Dia de los Muertos event, Legados y Futuros, this past Thursday. And that was also beautiful and very well attended. We have ours next week, and that's a huge monster of a thing. So I'll leave that for next week. Soul Collective had, and we're going to learn more about Souls of the City and the history and how it just went this past Saturday from the team in just a moment. But theirs would be this past Saturday for Souls of the City. Taller Arte Nuevo Amanecer, as mentioned, has their final program this coming Saturday. And Sojourner Truth African Heritage Museum, which if you haven't been to, you should definitely go because a lot of the murals that they have inside the museum are dedicated as well to the Chicano movement in Mexican and Latin American history. So please go, but they will actually be showcasing and doing master workshops around the altar closer to the end of December, which coincides with Kwanzaa. So it's really exciting that even in this work, we get to partner with different organizations and different representations of the altar. Now, what we're really looking forward to at the Latino Center is we already had our Marigold Flower Crown workshop. We already had our Community Altar Day a week ago, but if you're interested in being a part of the Community Altar, you're more than welcome to bring pieces to the center during the Pantheon weekend. And actually, we recommend that they be copies, just in case it's hard to get them back to the right person. But the Community Altar is built within the gallery. And then this upcoming Saturday, we have Altares de Mexico. So this will actually be another installation of an altar put together by lead artists, maestros Vidal Beltran, Jorge Ruiz, Jorge Guerrero, Marcos Sanchez, and Ramon Olvera. These 5 maestros represent different regions of Mexico and will be in discussion talking about the way that altares are made in different regions of Mexico, having real representations of these different spaces. Hey, Bree, she's someone who's been a part of this mix for
Yeah.
a long time. But what's really exciting about this taller too is that it will be only in Spanish. So if folks really want to come and be a part of it, you're more than welcome to. We'll be releasing a bilingual program about what they discussed, but this is really for Spanish speaking folks who want to be in community with one another and talk about the history of altar making there too. I do want to talk about one more taller that's also not on the calendar.
Yeah.
But it is for Wednesday, November 1st from 5 to 7 p.m. at the center, the Latino Center of Art and Culture. And that will be led, and we'll be having a bigger discussion around sort of the ecological connections, the nature driven, the plant based driven part of this work. but Marigold Society, led by Janaki Anaga, will be leading a plática on sort of the importance of cempasúchil, the historical aspect of it, the spiritual aspect, the scientific, and the ecological importance of it on Wednesday, November 1st at the Latino Center. So just leaving that there, but you should definitely follow all of our social media accounts to stay on top of what's happening, how to join in. And yes, all of these talleres, all of these programs are free to the community. So that's been the exciting part too.
Yeah. So are we ready for thank you for all that information? Everybody out there, thank you, Bree, for, I want to honor Bree's comment real quick. We need love. That's right.
She
Hello,
is
Bree.
love.
So I saw Bree at the Souls of the City. Yeah, we had a good talk. Nice to see her too. Oh, look, my friend Uli is here. Hey, Uli, a little ghost, German ghost is what he is. Yeah, Uli is a physicist who worked on the new not the James Beard Award, the James Webb Hubble, the new James Webb. So we played music together, and he's a really good friend of mine. And we do a live stream every Wednesday with puppets, so that's good. But it is time to bring on our first guests, all the way from wherever he's streaming from, from the internets, and the vibrations of Luis.
Hola, Luis. ¿Cómo estás?
Hola, hola. Buenas noches.
It's good to see you.
Good evening, or
good
night already.
No, it's an evening. It's 7 p.m.
Yeah. Well, it's getting dark, so.
So, Luis, now I'm forgetting the title. I guess you must wear many hats working at a nonprofit, but it's can you tell me a little bit about your work with Soul Collective and a little bit about yourself, actually?
Hello, everyone. So I am Luis Campos Garcia, Arts and Education Director at Soul Collective. And I have been doing different roles over there at Soul Collective, gallery manager, artist in residency, arts director, right now arts and education director, and also one of the co-leads in the newly created outdoors program that we started doing some programming this year, actually under that title, the Soul Outdoors. And yeah, so I'm a visual artist. I studied graphic design in Mexico and UNAM. Later, I moved to the United States. And here, after working for a few years, I decided to go back to school and then earn a degree in studio art at Sacramento State. So, and yeah, Soul Collective is an arts and cultural center in Sacramento, California, where we focus on programming in art, culture, activism, and wellness. And we partner with different community organizations. We have different artists that have worked with us, do work with us. And we also have an art gallery where we display the work of artists from Sacramento and beyond. And we always have different kind of events. There is also some community partners that do yoga classes. There is another group that do practice Mexica dance, Calmecac. Also, there is the Capital City Powwow. They practice Native American drum and dance. And also there is Arte de Amar that practice in our space, as well as some other community partners like Sacramento Street Medics that are helping the unhoused community by distributing some food and some other ways to help them. Other community partners have used our space and continue using our space. Poetas del Sol, Norcal Resist used to meet at our space, and still we try to help in whatever ways we can. And also for this project, I'm going to tell you a little bit more about it, but specifically with the flowers and the connection with Norcal Resist and Latino Doors, of course. That actually the connection with the Latino Doors, that's what helped us to, specifically with Jose, helped us to connect with an organization that with a foundation that actually give us some money to start the outdoors programming. So we are very thankful for that part. And at Soul Collective, I have been there since attending the events since around 2011 when I was an undergrad at Sac State. A friend from Sacramento that's actually part of the board. She invited me to attend the different events at Soul Collective. She invited me to do a workshop. We did actually it was a talk. We did a virtual talk back in the day, in 2011. Some friends from Mexico in la Escuela de Cultura Populares Mártires del 68 that they gathered over there and connected from there, and all the way here in Sacramento with a Soul Collective. So virtual talk, simultaneous talk. So it was interesting playing with in that time I think it was Skype.
Yeah, Skype.
The
internet.
That was the internet.
Yeah, the internet was awesome back then. Yeah.
Yeah, it was fun. It was a lot of fun.
And Luis, you're the lead artist for the altar made that you sent me pictures of too that I went to go check out for Souls of the City. How did you connect with everybody else? How did you bring them the artists in for that too? Who were going? Yeah.
Yeah, for the lead artists at Soul Collective, we decided to have 4 different lead artists: Florentina Favela, Estela Sanchez, Jesus Sanchez, and myself. And each one of us connected with different artists in the community. In my case, I connected with, I sent an invitation to Cervantes, Esme Cabrera, Cherry Ceramics, Luis Magaña, and Alejandro Calderón Magaña. And thankfully, they said they wanted to participate in the project. And then we started working together for this really amazing project. And as well, the other lead artists at Soul Collective, they were also working with other community artists, with some also some students from Mecha de la Med High School were helping to create some of the items for the altars, like paper flowers, sugar skull, some of the paper mache skeletons. So it was a really nice experience where the community had a chance to go and work in some of these props during our community art day for Day of the Dead, where people had a chance to learn how to make different things like the paper flowers, the sugar skulls, and the paper mache. And then some of those were the ones that we displayed in the different altars we set up during our annual Souls of the City event. That I have been attending that event since 2013, I think. But then helping after that, since 2014 all the way to this year.
Wow.
Luis, I asked Kat and Esme to be part of my altar making, but they told me no. They're like, we're already working with Luis, and I was just like, okay, but I'm going to talk to him about that when we bring him up. So that's my scandal of the day. So for now.
Well, Luis, I think it's exciting is you've been a part of Souls of the City 10 years. Almost 10 years, right? So have you been seeing, and has it been hosted? I feel like most people should know if they don't already. It's one of the biggest celebrations of Dia de los Muertos, which happens in Old Sacramento. And you have all these beautiful altares that are built, and the community comes together for that. Can you tell me how the event has changed, or perhaps what has remained consistent about the event?
Some of the things that I remember since the beginning when I started helping, it was like there are certain elements that try to stay the same, like setting up altars, having the Mexica dancers, Aztec dancers to do a small ceremony and offering for the souls. Also have the some kind of entertainment like music performers, dancers. those are some of the things that remain the same. Also having some activities for the community, like either making sugar schools or paper flowers or flower crowns or coloring sheets activities. And some of the things that have changed, I would say, well, at least during the pandemic, during the height of the pandemic, we were not able to do the event in person. So during a couple of years, we instead had an altar walk. We set up different altars, offerings in different buildings in Old Sacramento for people to go and see them. And those were on display for, I'm not sure, around a month or so. Those were the things that changed. During times where I remember, like sometimes there is more artists involved in the project, so they are the ones setting up the altars, offerings. Other times is more community organizations setting up the altars that are displayed during Souls of the City. But what has been changing is like there is more younger people that is getting involved in this. From the times that I remember when I started helping, like we have the elders in our community. Some of them they say that they are not elders yet. We're helping with the event, and they introduce many of the community into the event, and they also were doing those kind of celebrations or events from a long time. So that's what it started giving the connection to the people at Soul Collective, like Trudy Robles, Maria, and some other elders that were helping in bring that connection of these traditions of Day of the Dead. And then other middle-aged generation like Estela Sanchez, Dominic Porras, Chico Gonzalez, and then also with the help of the Favela family, like Clara was helping a lot too. One of the elders that also has set up altars at Soul Collective or Souls of the City for several years. Her daughters, Florentina or Rosita Favela, also participating in the different workshops.
Yeah.
In the event that is in partnership with the History Museum or the Sacramento History Society. This year, I think it was more with the
we have Tina on.
Hello, Tina.
Yeah.
And and the event, well, usually it happens in front of the History Museum over there in Old Sac. Last year, it happened by the riverfront. It was it's a narrower space, so it was more a little difficult to navigate that area.
Yeah,
and it was more cold because all the wind that gets there. But this year we returned to the usual location, so we are thankful for that.
Yeah. Well, we're gonna bring on your cohorts or your other artists in there. We have Esme and everybody. See, everybody's coming on. Tina says,
"Hey guys,
yeah.
Hi Tina."
Yeah. Tina was on her. She did our first show, so she was on the first one. So that was awesome too. So.
But I have to honor that Luis shared so much. Like, I think we could have gone into like every single topic, like even the importance of cultural centers when you're talking about all those collaborations and partnerships and the different people you bring together, the ways that the organization has been bridging this older generation with the younger one for a long time. I think it's like, it gives me a lot of hope when I hear that not only has this been done, but there are many of us that work doing this work. So I just thank you, Luis, for holding it down even through the pandemic and the work of Soul Collective. So just thank you for that. That was really beautiful. And part of me was like, I'm going to keep that note for next time I see you, Luis. And I'm going to record it.
Well, and the best part about doing this show too is to get to know, because we're always usually working. I got this the other day. The other night. There you go. See. real quick one. Luis and I, I'm like, hey, but everybody's working all the time, so sometimes it's hard to get together and really talk up to people and really know what what we're doing, with each other too. So it's nice to hear, especially learning history too in the back. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, Ruben, if it's okay, I'd love to hear Luis introduce the two artists that have just joined us and get a sense of who's in the room now too, in case you don't know.
Oh, hello. I want to introduce you to Kat Cervantes and Esmeralda Cabrera, two great artists in the Sacramento region. And actually, they had a show at Soul Collective at the beginning of the year. It was a really great show. And I am really thankful that they say yes to collaborate with me and with the Cherry Ceramics in creating the altar the offering that we did. Welcome.
Oh, look,
Thank you.
we have Armando here too.
Armando.
Hola. So we got everybody here. And Yaya was
So-
up here calling me something. I forgot what she called me up here. Oh, there you go. Yeah,
Chistoso.
Anyways,
No,
I'd
what's
bring that up.
exciting?
Yeah. Go ahead.
But what's exciting to see is that Armando, of course, leads CAFE, CAFFE, which is an organization that works with the unhoused. You can usually see him in his group over at Cesar Chavez Plaza. And he's been really integrated into this work. So it's really nice to have him here. And Yaya is also a lead altarista representing Sojourner Truth Museum. So we'll be hearing from them later, I hope. Oh, no, we saw them on the first episode. They were on for the first one.
Yeah.
But I say it's just so exciting to be in community with so many of y'all. And to that point, Ruben, let's get to know the folks on this call.
Hold on. We have
Leo.
What's up?
Yeah.
Classy Hippie Tea, 1300 Broadway. Go there. I have an art show there too, but he's an awesome person. That's how quick that was. Yeah, but what's really cool is that we're all getting together here, and it's a cool community. It's very brown up here, by the way. So, anyways, Ismay, anything you have to say, and we'll go to Kat afterwards.
Sure. Thank you guys for inviting us and making this space. I'm just floored by hearing everything that Luis has to share about the history of soul. And as a new member of the Sacramento community, it's so great to feel. I didn't realize how much of the culture that has been brewing in Sacramento forever actually was shaping my identity, my sense of Chicanismo in the Bay Area, right? Mm-hmm. Like it's right now in my older age that I'm seeing all the different connections and discovering for myself what a hub, what a central location of culture, of community, of activism, of movimiento, right? Mm-hmm. And one thing that I remarked about this most recent event was I thank my lucky stars for all the cultural workers that I happen to be in community with, and that I get to also put in my little granito de arena as well. I'm just so thankful. I'm in awe. I'm in constant gratitude, and happy to be here. Happy to be learning.
Well, we're happy to have you. And anybody out there, you have any questions for anybody on this panel, except for me about my eye, it'd be great. Now, Kat, what about you? We've seen each other all the time. Like we're gonna, so it's great to connect with you, all the time, and the randomness of what is the art scene here, But we have you here too, so tell us a little about yourself.
Yeah, I'm still there was so much that Luis shared that I wasn't aware of, so I'm still processing that.
Yeah, that's exactly.
I was like, wow, that's so amazing. He briefly told me a little bit about how long you've been doing it at the altar building, and so as you were sharing all that, I was like, wow, it's so interesting. I want to keep hearing more later, Luis. But yeah, so anyways, yes, I'm Kat. I share. I'm just feeling gratitude right now. Just feeling a lot of gratitude that Luis asked me. He shoot me a text and he was like, telling me the themes around like climate change, environmental justice, death and rebirth, cultura. And so I was very much yes, because all those themes very much resonate with me. So yeah, that's a little bit about how I got involved into helping build this altar. I'm also a new member, like Esme, to the Sacramento community. I was born and raised in LA, and then I moved to the Bay to go to school in Texas State, and I stayed there for about 7 years. I was an educator, an educator. I worked mainly with a lot of high school grades, but I have a experience K through 12. And then I had my son about 4 years ago, which took me on a whole road of ancestral healing. So that's something that's been included in my art. It influences my art a lot. It's actually a way that I was able to reconnect again with my artistic self. And I was an art educator. I wasn't doing too much of my own art. So yeah, I'm here and I'm just like, I'm happy to be part of this community, and it's very much feels very much aligned right now where I am with my participation in it. But yeah.
Well, welcome. Yeah, welcome to Sacramento. Welcome to this everything, right?
Yeah.
To the universe, the metaverse. Yeah. Yes. And I'm asking a question because I did ask you to send me like what kind of art do you do, and we talked about this already too, right? I know you do digital art too. You do drawings, and what else do you do though?
Yeah.
Not what else, but what? Yeah.
Yeah, I am starting to get back into painting again. A lot of my digital pieces that I have on my Instagram, I post them a lot on Instagram. I want to eventually turn into paintings next, and they might shift a little bit in their composition. I was very inspired by the show I had at Soul Collective with Esme. It was my first time ever really showing any type of gallery setting. And it was very, very healing for me to just exist in that space of continuous, no, I'm not going to do that. Like, I'm not going to be an artist. Just this continuous, part of me that I had to work through. And so being in that space was very, healing for my nervous system. So ever since I had that show, I just continued and so inspired by, all the people that I've been able to meet through. But yeah, so painting, I want to work on a body of work that are just paintings again, and it's very much around death and rebirth, very much back in my ancestral healing journey. So yeah, I see Andres said, hello everyone, welcome to SAC. Kat, hola, nice to see you outside of Instagram.
We're known by our Instagram handles. That's what I told us.
Yeah. No, I'm curious. Ruben, you kind of brought this up earlier behind the scenes about the Instagram handles and how that's so telling about the type of art that folks create. Also, Andres Alvarez is an artist as well. I'm glad he could join us, but he's a photographer, he's a painter, and just an overall beautiful person. So I'm glad he could be here too.
And he also has a show too.
I'm a finish, Ruben.
Sorry.
That was a goddamn give a question in. No, we knew this was going to be a thing. We're like, there's 5 of us on the line. This is going to be fun. But I was like, no, it's so exciting to hear Luis, Esme, and Kat representing different areas of California who've come to Sacramento and all saying it was these cultural spaces that brought me in. And so I'm I just wanted to honor that moment of just how beautiful that is and just how great it is that the work that is done here to elevate artists is also it just, again, Luis, to your point, I just wanted to honor that a cultural space, an art space does so much for the community and bridging these places and allowing for people to feel seen even. So I just, thank you. Ruben, on to you.
Oh, no. I just know how bad artists are, bringing up what shows they have. I said Andres has a show now in Davis. And if you could put that up, Andrea, so we can know too when your show is coming up. Or it already came up, but it's going there too. And Luis, I want to thank you for having me on the Soul Collective shows too, asking me to be on there. It's always fun, and I'll always be honored to show there at Soul Collective with you. You guys are there because you guys are always, I love you guys. You guys are great people. So great community too. So you'll hear me say love a lot as the evening goes up longer. Yeah. Carissa, so you next. Question now. No kidding.
No, it's okay. I'm full of questions.
Yeah,
I used to drive my mom nuts
Oh,
as a
yes.
kid, but now it's very useful. No, I think what's exciting is like, of course, I'm actually a very visual person. So I would love to see a little bit more of like what some of this art has been that Esme and Kat and Luis have created. But also to that point, it's like, Luis talked about, and we showed the altar that was built at Soul Collective, but could we hear a little bit more from Kat and Esme? What did it mean to be brought in? How were you, what was trying to be conveyed in this altar? And maybe what are you trying to convey in your art in general?
Yeah, I wouldn't mind jumping on this one. We came together and I think we only had one meeting where we kind of got to talk a little bit of what we could bring, right? Like, this is what I can bring to the altar. Luis gave us a little bit also about, this can be more artistic, more expressive, because it's not necessarily going to be a charge altar, right? One that where we are is bringing in our specific ancestors through, right? So it was an impressive opportunity for sure. And I like to have a plan. So I know what I was gonna bring. I was gonna bring my paper art. So I've been an artist definitely my whole life, but not in a formal sense, definitely more in a self-taught sense, in a very informal way. It's mostly been my way to keep self-expression alive in my life. And it runs the gamut of all sorts of material. But right now, for some reason, origami came to the fore. And origami is the art of paper folding, and it's seen very much like something that children are introduced to, right? It's comes from you use the most humblest of materials, which is paper, but at the same time, what I've been learning now through some paper making friends is paper is not humble at all. Paper is such a powerful medium. Paper is one of the oldest mediums of our communication as well, right? And one of the most powerful ways to spread ideas. And it in this flat two-dimensional way, but we can also use it in this three-dimensional way as well. And I love how the altar, we incorporate our visual art on paper. We have our paper mache. It's such a malleable material, right? So not just for flat representations, but also for three-dimensional expression as well. And so, we're all contributing our specific talents to steady set dynamics. We're definitely going to take charge of more of the altar table. And Kat had a beautiful piece that she was bringing to honor environmental defenders, and the connection to our ecological roots in our own the ancestry. And for her, I'll let her, of course, speak to that more specifically. And for myself, as a California native plant advocate, when I say California native plant advocate, for myself in these past, I want to say 5-6 years, I've been on a journey of getting to know California native ecology in a deeper sense, and really also listening about from that cultural perspective of California indigenous people and the relationship that they had, not just with the ecology, plants, and animals, but the very role of maintaining and stewarding and making California one of the most productive areas in the world, not only like food wise, but that also related to diversity, culture, diversity of language, diversity of life with, right? So all of that for me is California native plants is the gateway to knowing so much more about California, especially its indigenous roots and Mexican diaspora. We also figure in there as well because we've been in communication through extensive trade routes, for millennia, right? So not talking too much, but the altar, as we're bringing all our, me and Kat she was helping me out with some of my paper flowers, and we're just throwing out ideas of how we would like to see the altar pan out. And with soil was really like one thing that I really wanted to bring into the altar space. Just honoring the fact that that's where we come from and that's where we're going, right? And but it also is the medium, the portal through which our plants grow, through which the base of life is, right? Giving us all the insect life, all the mycelial fungi. And from there, of course, my flowers specifically focused on Toloache or Datura wrightii, or Momoy in the Chumash language. And Datura is a very powerful, very spiritual, very sacred plant that grows mostly in Southern California, but it reaches a little bit here into Central. And it was fun how many people recognize the plant. So I'm glad I got to make those connections with folks who came by. I'm like, hey, I know that plant. I know that. And that's great. That's what I want. That's, I want people for us to have a conversation for
Yeah, it was cool.
Memory of a plant that they've seen, but maybe forgot about, overlooked, or get to connect with again.
Yeah, do you remember when I go, hey, is that fungi? Remember I said that to you?
Did you?
I just learned that word tonight. Thank you. I used it already now.
So
yeah,
that's how the altar ended up coming together. And then Luis had a full wooden skeleton that he created as well, and kind of fun into that. I love how that's the guardian almost of the altar space. And yeah.
Kat, how was your when you created something for the altar? What was your concept? What was your thoughts on it?
Yeah, so I had the Itzpapalo goddess piece that was inside the dirt circle. I did that one before I was asked to be a part of this because it was just something I was already thinking of doing. I was just like, I have to create this because it was just something that I was feeling that I needed to create. Is kind of what I do when I build or like create these pieces. And it's around the monarch butterflies journey back to the Abies religiosa forest that is now with Michoacan region. Sorry, I don't know if you can hear me. Can you hear me? Is that okay?
Yeah, we hear great. Yeah,
I can hear you, and I can hear where Ruben's pouring out too.
Hey, that's where the love's coming from. Love just don't grow on vines,
Or one from.
So that's what I was thinking of when I created that Itzpapalo, with being, I'm probably not pronouncing the name correctly. If y'all know what it's exactly pronounced, please let me know. But it's also me, right? Because it's also tied back into being able to see myself be a guardian as well. And so as I create this art also around considering like climate change justice, mostly around ecological restoration, by I was thinking like, okay, but I also have this tie to Michoacan, with it being that's where like my family is also from. And
Yeah.
also growing up, there's always like some type of, we have like a book, I remember this book, but it was about the monarchs and where they would go in Michoacan. So I always had this like connection with the monarchs. So East Buffalo is often associated, they're seen as like the obsidian butterfly, but it's also associated with moth, that is endemic to that region. And she also transforms into different forms for what I read online. Sometimes she's an old woman, sometimes she is a young, beautiful woman. So, but she's also like a guardian to different realms, and the tie also with death and rebirth. So, and then I put her in the middle of the trees. Let me read this. Okay. I don't have a background noise, but I'm not hearing it right now. I saw your message, Ruben.
Oh no, that's not you. That's we found it.
Okay. All right. So the trees, I put those trees, they're very textural trees, and the monarch butterflies go to these trees, they keep them warm. And so that forest is facing a lot of deforestation. I believe it's only like 1% of the original forest is still remaining. I believe they're trying to restore a lot of it. Not a lot of it. I think they only got back to like 5%. There has been a lot of like deforestation caused for like mass industrial agriculture. And so it's very sad. It's very sad what's happening. And I just felt called to like create a piece and to try to hopefully inspire people, especially when it comes to like the ancestral reconnection. I also do a lot of decolonization work for my lineage and my family and my community, and however it ripples around me. So yeah, those are all like everything that was put into the thought when I created that piece.
That's great. And
yeah,
I'm gonna bring up the altar too real quick, and I'm gonna bring up what Bridget wrote. So can you read that, Carissa?
Sure. Bridget said, "It was so beautiful. I love the way it glowed. So many people love that skeleton. Someone told her husband that he has to make her one because she loved it so much. Aha." I think she went haha, but still.
Yeah.
Thanks for explaining that, Kat. It sounds so special to you. Bridget's another one that I only knew her by her Instagram name for a long time. So she's Sun Queen to me. But but I think listening to you, Kat, listening to you, Esme, it's you know, I think the way that you use each of your ecological backgrounds or understanding, and really, Luis, for bringing them together, and that this was the common sort of the thread that pulled a lot of these pieces together, is truly great to hear. I think what's most striking is that the altar is a concept and a practice. And you use the term, Esme, I believe you said it was an uncharged altar or not charged altar. And I know you kind of explained that briefly, but if you wanted to kind of remind folks the difference between a charged or an uncharged, and talk a little bit about what this presentation was. I just think that it's truly beautiful that you sought the opportunity to, through your understanding of the world and your experiences, use these metaphors, these stories, these, pollinators, these, plant life, to also talk about this idea of like death and rebirth and regeneration and the coming together. So I just, and how natural that happened for the three of you. But perhaps you could explain to folks who are listening, because a lot of us are still learning what it means to be in the presence of something that is a charged altar versus not charged.
I'm actually going to pass that on to Luis, because he that to us, and I don't want to mess it up. So I'm going to pass that part on to Luis.
Thank you, Luis.
Thank you. Yes, for the altars, usually traditional altar is the one that is contains the Well, in this case, the 4 elements, and to be an altar, an offering that is charged, it will be the fifth element. The 4 elements, air, wind, fire, and water. And then the fifth element will be the soul that you invite to the altar. And usually for those altars are more like the ones that you create at home. That is very personal. And usually the ones I work outside of home that I create for events is more like an artistic um, an art installation, altar installation offering. And I led the part of like charging them and inviting the souls to other people and soul collective that are more into that tradition, like people that are more into practicing the Aztec dance and having different kinds, different ceremonies. I led that part to them. They are the ones that charge usually their altars that they do. But I come from a tradition more of creating altars over there in Mexico for cultural events in the school bars and later in the during the student strike in uh, the the big altars that were created for during for Day of the Dead in the University of Mexico. And I come more from a little more from that tradition, and also because of my background as a visual artist in art installations, that's what I prefer to do a little bit more. And then the ones I want to charge, where I invite the souls, the loved ones that have passed away, those are more personal. That I leave for each one of us to have their own one at home, and there is no right or wrong way to do one at home. Just a reminder that in Mexico is currently there is still 60 something languages that are being taught with variants of those languages. So is more than 60 ethnic groups in Mexico, and each one has their way to celebrate Day of the Dead. So it's hundreds of ways to do it. Set up an offering, an altar, and for an altar that is charged is more personal.
No, thank you for that explanation, Luis. Bridget said, thanks for explaining the distinction. That was helpful, Luis. Whoa, 60 ethnic groups. Yes. So I think that's really beautiful.
I have a feeling that all of us we should have our own solo show. I mean, we'll have different everyone here should have like their own like hour of being able to explain certain things too, because we're going to all different subjects that are awesome too, but they're all combined together, So
well, speaking of combining, I think one of the elements that Carissa, you're making me think of that we haven't spoken to, and that I kept forgetting to acknowledge better because I wasn't as involved in it, was the marigolds that we were able to harvest that were grown in West Sacramento as a collaborative effort between Latino Outdoors, Sacramento Valley, Janaki Anaga with Marigold Society, and NorCal Resist, as well as Soul Collective. And, all of us here want sometimes desperately, right, to get our hands into the soil, to actually have that relationship. And it's hard sometimes being in an urban environment, feeling like, how can I make a difference? How can I have that relationship con nuestra tierra, right? And I just love how this collaboration was organically happened this year. Everything seemed to come together just right. And, the Kat, Luis, Luis and Alejandra, Ken Foster, Adam, went out and have been harvesting actually from that plot for all of many of the events and that have been happening, since a couple of weeks back and will keep happening. And that just speaks to me, the strength that we have right now that we really need to lean on going forward is the strength in our differences, our diversity, and all the beautiful gifts that we bring to the table. Nobody wants to be like everybody else now. We all want to walk as our authentic selves and bring that beauty to the table. And I just love how we are making space to see each other, to see ourselves. Kat inspires me so much with her inner work that she does, and how she shares it with everybody who gets the chance to see her art and to hear her talk about her process. But it's all about those mycelial connections that are underground, feeding all of these. There's no separateness at the end of the day. There's only endless connections between ourselves and with our earth. And I just want to move forward with that at this point in my life, you know, and I really hope that my work and the work that I get to be in partnership with others just keeps this moving forward.
Esme, I thought that was beautiful. And it actually leads me to a question I wanted to ask each of you, which is, you know, as you were talking about talking about your work, what is the message or that you would like folks to walk away with when they see your creative expression? So maybe Esme, you sort of already answered that, but if you wanted to add to that, you could kind of
yeah, I think for myself, I want folks to see, you know, we have these open spaces around us, and Kat mentioned how in Mexico, you know, the Oyamel forest that the monarchs fly to, they're so impacted. We're losing them way too fast, and that's happening everywhere. We still have in California, we're blessed that we do have a lot of open space, but at the same time, what folks may not realize, it's a fraction of what California once had. And it was because of the relationship that people had with the land. It wasn't because they were apart from it. It wasn't because they were leaving it alone. It wasn't because, you know, conservation as the Western mind knows it. It was because there was an interrelationship and an intimacy with so many distinct of our ecological regions in California that they made California what it was. And that is what it's going to take, I feel, for us to have intimate relationships, for us to use our observational powers that we all possess to create that relationship of seeing, of reading more of, you know, the migration of birds, of noticing pollinators, of learning what are the plants that but the California native plants that help the specific pollinators that need our assistance, that need our relationship with them, so that we can help them also be healthy and in turn just strengthen all the connections again, right? So I really hope that folks, that when they see and learn that I'm not just folding flowers, to give them a representation, a connection of California native plants themselves that you might run into on your hikes, on your recreational outings, that they're more than just the plants that you see on the side of the road or on the side of the trail. They have stories, and they also need a future, and we need to be part of that relationship.
Well, how do we find out about those stories? And about all this information that you're talking about too. Like,
yeah,
I would like to know more too.
Well, getting out is one, whether that's, you know, taking a breath of fresh air just outside of your door, opening your window, you know, do what we can, because not all of us are in this body ability, right?
Yeah.
But if you are able to, you know, get out to a trail, visit it regularly and visit it throughout different times of the year and notice how it changes. Notice the different smells, the different textures, the different creatures, the different sounds you hear. And that's how you start building a relationship to place that is more than just using it recreationally, but actually developing a relationship with it.
Yeah, see, Armando said, great presentation. You are awesome. See? And then Bridget went back to Carissa.
Oh, endless connections between ourselves and our earth. Love to hear you speak, Esme. And I love whenever you use the word mycelium because I just, Irene is on the call. We'll talk about Irene a lot of the time. I know I'm like, this has been the most fun. It's like listening to some of you folks, knowing some of the conversations we've had in the past and the ones that you're bringing into this space and the intentionality with that. I know with Kat specifically, we've had conversations around moments of transition or changes. And I wonder, as you were working in collaboration with Esme, with Luis on this Altar, or perhaps your own artistic projects, what are some of the messages that you feel you are also transmitting to folks in the community?
Yeah, so definitely hopefully inspiring just curiosity first and foremost, right? Especially with mostly focusing on also native plants. I don't have multiple years of learning too much about native plants as Esme. More of like a little over a year now I've been more in connection with native plants, more so because I've been putting this reciprocity, relationship with the tierra around me and focusing on my healing and seeing like how much healing needs to happen around me as well. I also taking it to the our community and seeing how much healing is needed too, right? So taking it to the level of taking myself out of my comfort and putting my healing more out there to hopefully inspire more people in my community to be more comfortable with healing. And for myself, something I've learned in my ancestral healing journey is how much death needs to happen in that for ourselves, like in so many levels, in order for there to be rebirth, bringing it back to mycelium, mycology, and seeing that I see that, and not only in that, also just it's all around us, right? How much we've had to disconnect as a community from that awareness we have had in the past. Our ancestors have had such a deeper connection with death, and just hopefully inspire people to see that parts of us that haven't served us do not have to continue to be with us much as, and it could have an end, and there could be new parts of us as well. So yeah, that's pretty much like I to share about that part.
As I was listening to you, Kat, and just like thank you for the wisdom that you share, and Esme and Luis, I realize, and I do my best whenever there is like does everyone else know what we're talking about? So when you talk about mycelium, when you talk about fungi or fungi, depends on how you do it. Can you maybe tell me a little bit more, or I'll just jump in a little bit. It's like, what is mycelium? What does it do? And why are we talking about it in the way that we're talking about it right now?
Really, I mean, I've been into mycelium for a while, mostly because I also had like first and foremost had like a connection with a lot of like psychoactive plants, and then it took me into like myceliums because there's a lot of psychoactive plants within it. Because anyways, but specifically like there's this quote that I really love by Julia. I forgot her name, but she's she is a scholar, a very I don't know. She's just so informative about it. And there's this just simple quote about how mycelium shows us and how we can learn from it, that it's continuously just making things that are rotting like into something that will eventually serve into new life. So being able to see that in nature, right? We are nature, but like plants, right? We're continuing, like we see plants, they die, but with their death, there is rebirth. So just those connections, hopefully that can um like put like a more like a bigger picture on how I view like death and rebirth and like plants and mycelium, and how they are also showing us and teaching us that this is what can happen when something dies. And it's needed, right? Because you're not going to have death, you're not going to have life, like they're both always there. And so yeah, I'll just stop there.
Yeah. As far as like a definition of mycelium, it's when we see mushrooms, that's actually just the fruit of what is the body of the actual fungi, which lives in the soil and more closely resembles threads, um, and is connecting, and also has relationships with the roots of plants and the roots of trees, which oftentimes they have a relationship where the tree will provide sugars to the mycelium, and the mycelium will also provide nutrients to the tree. Oftentimes, because they are also breaking down previously alive plant and tree matter, right, and other bodies of other biological bodies as well, and breaking them down, like Kat says. Um, One thing that this whole process this time with altar making has really sparked in me is that, is death really dead, or is it actually something living that is just taking what is alive and right? Or putting it through another process, a much quieter, a much more far away process, but it's very alive. It's not dead at all. And that's something I want to explore going forward as well. As a naturalist, one thing that caught my attention a couple of weeks ago, it was all the different life forms that I was finding around a valley oak. So oaks are one of those what we call keystone species, meaning that it's like a grandmother or a grandfather, right? Like life, they have provided so much life, and life continually revolves around them, right? And I hope we've all been lucky enough to feel that around an elder in our community. But oaks are like the elders in the ecological community, and they often provide for hundreds of distinct species around them. And some of those species never leave the vicinity of the tree. So that makes me think, and fungi and mycelium being one of them, that makes me think, is it really like something else, or are all these expressions of the tree itself, right? Like, again, there is no separateness. There are only these endless, endless, endless connections between things. And then the blessing of things being able to express themselves in an individual way, but still being part of this larger project, right? Um, yeah.
I like that we're hella geeking out on nature. That's awesome.
Always, always.
Yeah, right. Uh, and we like to thank everybody out there for coming to the City of Altars live stream experience, because that's what we're doing. But to gather everybody together, and we talk about like getting together. And if you just look down, I just want to bring this up, but you look down at the banner, you have Latino Center Arts and Culture, you have Soul Collective, you have Sojourner Truth, you have Washington Center, you have Tana, all these, think about, imagine what we could do all together if we, like you said, there is that ultimate, the veins and the branches and the trees and everything else that we could do together if we were just to work together more often, right? Because I found this to be as an artist, a beautiful event, right? Because I've worked, like, I get to talk to you guys more, Luis and I bonded, with that picture. I'll show it to you later on again. But, and it was cool because I really got to meet a lot of people that I didn't really know. Like, I barely knew this much, but then, like with Tina, with Lupe, with Stan, everybody I got to talk to. with Maurice Mauricio over at Washington Center, right?
Yeah.
And just Natalia, everybody, Jocelyn, everybody, and it's a very beautiful thing that, when we come together and, and just bond, and we all have our differences too as artists and everything else, but it's just been a very beautiful. It's almost over, but it's not. It's not going to be over. It's going to change. But I always tell, I'm like, in death, we're going to come together, right? And with plants and everything else, and all this stuff, it's a very beautiful thing. So I just want to thank, especially the three of you, for coming on. Is like when I called you this morning, I'm like, hey, please, So I know we had this whole conversation, but this is what it's about. This is about manifesting and the good vibrations that everybody has here, and what we could do together, right? Let's leave everything in the past as we can, because the past is good, but we live in the present, and we think about the future. But yeah, so I am honored to have you on this show tonight.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you very much for the invitation. And just really one quick
It's
thing.
not over yet. It's not over, Luis. We got to show your artwork too. We have some artwork, so we're gonna.
Oh, that felt like a conclusion, Ruben.
No.
Like, yeah, I was like, okay. I was like, okay.
It's the magic. It's the what is it? The mushroom in the ball.
Like,
yeah.
Good. Just going back a little bit with with my intention was to create the offering the altar. It was like to serve as as an spark to reignite the fire that is in each one of us. But sometimes we don't take good care of that fire that we carry with us around. So that was part of that, and also the connection to nature. Like we as humans and a capitalist society, we tend to see ourselves as separate entities from the rest of the living things that exist. But we are in one way or another connected. Some friends in Mexico, somebody, a friend Euclides told me this concept of in Nahua concept of Tloquenahuaque, the closer together, just like the fingers in a hand. Each finger by itself can break very easy, but all together is strong. Tloquenahuaque, closer together. So a way like we are all connected, and if we work together in a way to achieve for what we really want for everyone, not just for us, but everyone around the world, to empower everyone and with dignity, and have the chance to express and live your culture and be who you are, and not being trying to be erased like what is happening right now to the Palestinian people in the other side of the world. So if we have more in common with those people than the rich neighborhood in the same city where we live, and everything is connected one way or another. We are part of this stardust, that big bang that created everything. We are product of that. Everything that exists is part of that. So one way or another, we are interconnected. So
yeah,
thank you.
So and I also want to thank everybody out there too, whoever's out there watching us and listen to us talking, and it's thank you for coming out. We'll be here next Monday, and what I think is great about like I said, talking to everybody is like we let go of who we are, right, and just really show everybody who what we're into too. And for me, the city altar has been a very usually I'm in Oaxaca this year at this time of the year, but there's circumstances change a little bit. But I'm glad that I'm here this year, and I'm going to talk about a little bit about Maestro Vidal because he has brought a certain kind of his vision of a pantheon, which is different. Everybody has their different visions and their different like artistic views. But I see him work so hard, and and I want to give a shout out to him out there. Just because of his vision and his, I know how he works. He's stressed, but it's beautiful to watch everybody and learn from everybody. And the more I hang out with the people in the back of the round, like after they're done with the events and everybody's back there, making their food, la comida and all this stuff, and the beautiful community that we have around that we don't really even know that they're out there. And I think that's a very beautiful part of, of these, all of our cultures out there, all of us people out there, that, so I just want to give a shout out to him and for the Pantheon coming up. It's a huge, endeavor, and Carissa has been a great as to lead that too, and so yeah, and like I said, I'm going to show a little bit of my altar I'm making, but what I want to say about it too before we go, because I want to show, we're not going to go yet because I want to show everybody's artwork, but for me it's been great because she's, she goes, well, you can do whatever you want to do. I'm like, what? We're going to pay for your supplies. I'm like, what? Which is, we as artists, we're going to do it anyways, right? We're going to build these things. So for me, being a digital artist, I call myself a Chicano futurist artist. I'm not a traditional artist. And I talk to Kat about this a lot of times about digital artwork and how people, kind of look down upon it too. They're not, we're not at that point, but we are. There's different worlds out there. And so, but be able to create things that we want to create. Mine's a different kind of creation. It's an immersive space. It is charged by my love and charged by my mothers that I dedicated to, right? And the people that my friends that passed away before me, they're really younger than me. And it's kind of sad watching them on the altar, but it's also beautiful that they came into my lives too. So I really just wanted to say thank you to those who have came through my life and, what I need to be taught too. So
Ruben, I think that's beautiful. And I think you, as the folks who have also been in this space, have been creating altares and evolving and seeing the way the altar evolves to express where you are in your life and your understanding is really beautiful to see. To Esme's point, or to everyone's point, the reason I love this idea or this metaphor of mycelium, and even just the way nature, or we mirror nature, are able to learn the lessons of nature to be able to actually recreate healthier ways of being, I think, in our communities, is that I think for a lot of us who are in these spaces, I'll speak for myself, I aspire to be an earthworm. And I say that very intentionally, that beneath the surface, an earthworm changes the conditions of the soil so that others can bloom. And I think that has been the most rewarding part about this project, is that all of you have been within the soils that you're planted, expressing very differently and in unique ways. But what we do see is also that within this region, there is this richness, and that there is this beauty and this talent and the stories, so many stories that are being told. And in being in conversation with Ruben, with Luis, with Kat, with Esme, with many of the other altaristas and artists in this community, it's just the honor of being able to say, this, look what the story, listen to the story, like listen to what is happening now. And I am, Ruben, it's an honor to be serving each and every one of you, but also getting to see how much of your work is also being elevated at these specific spaces and the stories being told. And I hope, to some of your points, that we continue to be in collaboration, that we continue to be, another point taken from nature is this idea of always promoting biodiversity. We don't want to be a monoculture. We will all be sick and die. But rather, how do we always preserve that differences within the soil, the differences within the fruit? And that in another life, I worked for the Ag and Natural Resources Agency. So I was like, I'm like, that's why I'm like, yes, like science communication. But I think I just love I think for many folks, they may try to force the connection between what is happening in nature, what is happening in science and our environment, and art, when really what we see is artistic expression is embedded, it's threaded, it's woven within all these different spaces. And I'm just like listening to the three of you speak, listening to Ruben speak about transitions as well. It's like, yes, like I just, my face just can't, I don't have a poker face. So I'm just honored. But Ruben, back to you. I just wanted to say that you've created a really beautiful space where a lot of these stories can be shared.
Thank you. And so before, I want to play just the first incarnation of the digital altar space. It's an immersive space. It's made with love and vibrations and sounds, but also the second phase of it too. And then the third phase will be done this week. But also, in my space, I'll have in the digital space. Where the reason why I created is I wanted to show people who were poets and musicians in their form that were their still living form too, not just a picture, but in the screen you can see a lot of stuff. Also too, but also it is a space where you're going to bring your pictures and you can put into the walls too. It's a creative immersive space, but it is a little bit different. But the song that you're going to hear is one of my friends who is in the space who passed away really early in her life. So, and I recorded with her. I was a past musician in my past life too. So, but here's just a little bit, and then we're going to come back to see some artwork of everybody real quick. Okay, so we'll be back in 1 second. That's a quick. I had. So it's funny because I had the plant life, which the marigolds are from the Marigold Society. The butterflies are in there, just showing. They'll be on the roof. So anyways, so that was part of it. So bring in the pictures now that you want, and it should be up and ready to go this week. So, but before we go, we did want to do a couple of shots of everybody's work. And Esme, you have your first one. You have a show coming up.
Not my show.
Oh, a show. Sorry.
It's third artist is Laurelyn Gilmore, who is the local Sacramento artist, co-owner of Amatoria Fine Art Books over in Midtown. She is showcasing some work funded by a grant where she went around a different ecoscapes in California to kind of just be there, absorb them. And she loves painting people, and she loves painting this vision that she has of us kind of fused with nature. So it's really beautiful, and I'm going to have a couple pieces there, and it would be lovely to see all of you there.
So Saturday, right? Everybody come out Saturday.
Yes.
And Kat, we're going to show a couple of your pieces right here. So this is some of your work right here, right?
Yes, that is. So I like the one on the left is digital, but I transform them into prints. So the one on the right is like a print. And yeah, I have, what should I share? The one on the left with the white flowers, that's a California hibiscus that is endemic to like this region, the Sacramento Valley.
Yeah.
I've been learning a lot about that one this year, and it's mostly blooms in summer, and it grows a lot around water. It loves water, but also really loves sun. There is a reflection of me in the water. I have braids, previous past self of me, and now my hair is curly and down, and there's like a spiral around it. So it's just, again, the ties around like the continuous rebirth and a letting go of past selves. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a beautiful work. And, I knew that we would get involved talking with all this stuff. So I did really get to. So, Esme, I want to show a couple more pieces before we go of yours. Then we'll go to Luisa's too, because, yeah.
Yeah, just a couple shots of some of my California natives. The one on the left is a datura. Wintertime is when I love to play with light and texture. So I not necessarily like doing specific things, but just abstract light play. And yeah, I don't know what else
Right on.
talked about.
And we also have Luis And let me bring this here too. There you go.
Yeah, there's a couple of works. The one on the left, the La Tigrada, that was inspired by actually by La Tigrada festivities in Guerrero, Mexico. And is linked to agriculture, and essentially the way Day of the Dead was, or the Season of the Dead was celebrated in Mesoamerica before the Spanish arrival. It was a celebration linked to agriculture, and it's still linked to agriculture for having a good harvest, even for we have enough food even for the dead.
I know. And well, thank you. We're a half hour over our time. Carissa. So her phone's probably come out. But I could thank everybody for coming out for a City of Altars live stream show. And I thank you, Louise, for coming on and always having me at Soul Collective for shows and and showing our work too. Esme, thank you for coming on too, and getting this. It was fun. It was nice. And Kat, thank you for coming on tonight too. Everybody out there, thank you for coming to City of Altars live stream experience. We will be here next Monday. Any last words, Luis?
No, thank you for having us in the show, and just everyone visit the events that still are going to happening at the Latino Center, Tana and Woodland, at the Washington Neighborhood Center, later in the year at Sojourn Truth Museum.
Thank you. And also St. Mary's too. Let's not forget that.
Oh, yes,
one.
St. Mary's.
Yeah, so Lupa would be, I told Lupa I would do that too. So, Ismay?
No, Luis said it all.
Kat?
No, that's it. I wanted just a quick shout out to Eliud, who also helped pick some of the marigolds when we were there with Luis and Can and Echedi ceramics. But thank you so much for having me. And yeah.
Well, and I'd like to thank everybody out there for coming. And also, you guys want to come down, have some mezcal, come on the altar, and that's where you get your spirits, spirit versus spirit. Carissa, the last word.
Thank you.
There you go. See? Full. You dramatically went off air to dramatically come on to say thank you. I love it.
Yeah.
Way to say, yeah. Way to make an exit. Yeah. Anyway.
My screen froze and I was like, great. Well, you got this. There's enough people.
Oh, we got it. Yeah. So anyway, so thank you for coming out. We'll see you next Monday. And don't forget the workshop at Tana on Saturday, and then also the workshop at the LCAC and other workshops coming up. Well, we will have you every Monday to show you up what's going on. So thank you everybody for being such a wonderful artist and wonderful people, wonderful vibrational beings, wonderful plant people, wonderful nature people, right? So,
excellent.
And we are out, and everybody, I'm going to end the stream right away.
Okay.
Thank you. Bye-bye. Bye, everybody.
Good night.